The next thing we're going to talk about is not actually the current practice right now under AACR2. However, it will be something you will see if and when RDA is implemented. I mentioned last week when we talked about the general material designation in the 245 field that would be going away under RDA. And what it would be replaced by were three elements called content type, media type, and carrier type. So we're going to talk about those in this video. We'll start with content type, and here's the official definition from the RDA glossary, is that it's a categorization reflecting the fundamental form of communication in which the content is expressed and the human sense through which it is intended to be perceived. Not the most straightforward definition in the world, but basically you can think of the content type as being a very broad category to which the item belongs without saying anything about a particular physical item in which it is encased. So, all books are text, whether they're ebooks or actual physical books. And in our case, for video recordings, all video recordings pretty much belong to the same content type, regardless of their physical carriers. There is a list of approved terms for content type, and there's the address where you can get it from the Library of Congress. And for video recordings, it will always be two-dimensional moving image. It's a pretty long term, I know, but this is the official term to indicate that we're looking at a visual item and it's two-dimensional. And it's moving, it's not a still image. And this applies to motion pictures, things that are on film, as well as the video recordings that we're working with in this class. The media type is sort of more specific than a content type, and it's defined as a categorization of the general type of intermediation device to view, play, run, etc., the content of a resource. So we're starting to get into the physical carrier now, but still not the most specific level. It's sort of an intermediate description that works along with the carrier type to describe what the physical item is that we're working with. And again, there is an approved list of terms for this one. It's also available from the Library of Congress website. And for all video recordings, the media type is video. This would distinguish our video recording items from, say, a motion picture on film, because that would be of the projected media types. But everything we're going to be working with in this class, VHS tapes, DVDs, Blu-rays, streaming videos, those all get a media type of video. And the last one of these elements that we're looking at with RDA is the carrier type. And this gets even more specific, and it's defined as a categorization reflecting the format of the storage medium and the housing of a carrier, in combination with the type of intermediation device required to view, play, run, etc., the content of a resource. So it's just getting more specific when it comes to talking about the physical type of item you're working with. This is where you get to distinguish between cassette tapes and discs, things like that. And again, there is an approved list of carrier types. This is where you could see some variation between the items that we're working with in this class. Blu-rays and DVDs are video discs. Video cassette is the carrier type used for VHS tapes. And online resource is used for streaming videos. In a marked record, each of these elements gets its own field. Content type goes in the 336 field, media type goes in the 337 field, and the carrier type goes in the 338 field. So for example, here is a DVD. And this is what the 336, 337, and 338 fields would look like for this item. It's a two-dimensional moving image for the content type, video is the media type, and video disc is the carrier type. All of the element terms themselves go in subfield A, and subfield 2 is used to specify the source where these terms came from, the list of RDA content terms, the list of RDA media terms, and the list of RDA carrier terms. For Blu-ray, you'll notice that the terms for the elements are exactly the same, so it still doesn't really necessarily solve the problem of the GMD and the SMD not being extremely specific as to what our patrons are looking for. So that's maybe one criticism of RDA that some people have. But for the content type, carrier type, media type, and carrier type, these are exactly the same for a Blu-ray disc as for a DVD. Here, on the other hand, is a streaming video, and that is a little bit different. The content type and the media type are the same as for those disks we saw before, but the carrier type is online resource. In addition to the terms, where the specific terms for content, media, and carrier types are spelled out in words, there are also codes that can be used, and these obviously would not be meaningful to people looking at the catalog, but they could be used on sort of the back end of your catalog to help maybe limit searches by these things or filter results by these aspects. So there are codes that the computer can understand for these things as well, and that is how it would look if you used codes for the disks on the top example, either Blu-ray or DVD, and for the online streaming video in the second example. And here is the list where those RDA media, RDA content, and RDA carrier, those codes in subfield 2 come from. It's the list of genre form codes and term source codes on the Library of Congress website. And so that is where you can find out what to use in subfield 2 for the 336, 337, or 338 field.